I know some people would say, this guy is crazy. They would probably turn off the podcast, but you're willing to risk that.
Today, I'm joined by Fredrik Paulun, also known as the Sun Guy. Fredrik is a qualified nutritionist with a master's degree in nutritional science and the author of multiple best-selling books that have sold millions of copies worldwide. And now he's shifting from food to light and its potential in preventing disease and even supporting the fight against cancer. For years, the media has taught us to fear the sun, but what if the truth is the opposite? What if the light itself is the medicine we've been missing?
I think that my interest in health started 1975. I was 5 years old. Yeah, because my mother got sick. She got MS. So I was starting to get really interested in light. I realized that light was more important than food for health. You get a lot of sun, especially in northern countries. You will decrease the risk of dying from cancer with 40%. 40. That's massive.
Huge.
It's huge. It's actually, it's as dangerous as smoking if you don't get sun. And now I'm 55 years old in my passport, but I'm 29 years old when it comes to biological age because I use the light.
What do you tell people who are saying, but too much sunlight can be dangerous and we can have skin cancer and melanomas and we need to use sunscreen? What about all of that?
And it's also about nutrition because you can eat yourself to a good sun protection.
That's really interesting.
It is.
This is what we need to know. So what do we need to be eating?
This is new. This is the first time I talk about this.
Hello, good morning from Boho Club. Here we are with my new guest, Fredrik. I'm so honored to have you. You've been called the Sun Guy, which I love. And yeah, it's I've heard so many things about you from people. And when I was checking your story and what you've done, it's very interesting. And I love what you promote. You're promoting the light, the sunlight. You're digging deeper into it because there's not so much awareness, I think, around it. So I'm really interested to have this conversation with you. But before we start, I would like you to maybe introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about your background because you're actually a nutritionist because you studied nutrition and you've written so many books about nutrition actually, which is also a very interesting topic. But just a little bit, what should we know about Fredrik? What should we know? What was something that shaped you in your childhood and your upbringing that has affected you today or shaped you how you think today and are today?
Yes, thank you for having me first. And I think that my interest in health started 1975. I was 5 years old. Yeah, because my mother got sick. She got MS, multiple sclerosis. It's an autoimmune disease. Your body breaks down the myelin that surrounds your nerves, and you lose different functions. You start to have problems walking, all these things. So
And
it's a
there's no
horrible.
treatment really, is there? Or a cure?
It is.
Yes?
It's the sun. But we can talk
But-
more about it later. But the
But at
interesting
that
thing,
time,
at that time, I started to realize that what you eat is important. You have to take care of yourself. And I was just 5 years old, so it was a bit traumatizing for me, of course. So this affected my whole childhood. And at first, I was a bit rebellious. So the first 5 years after she got sick, I probably did the opposite what I should do. I got like addicted to sugar. That was my drug to
cope.
handle all this stress and anxiety because I saw she was getting worse and worse and worse. But what happened when I was about 15, I just turned around. I realized I can't keep on doing this. I was so inactive. I didn't exercise anything. I just was eating everything that was comforting me, like chocolate, pizza, all these things. So I just made a decision, 15 years old, that I'm going to change this. And I started to exercise, do everything, maybe too much in the beginning, but it was a good turn in my life. And I started to work with health in different ways. When I was 18, I started to work in this nutritional supplement store. And that was interesting because I read a lot of claims. This powder will make your muscles grow or will make your brain works better. And I realized maybe it's not true. Maybe they just say this to sell the products. So I felt an urge to really find out myself. So I wanted to read science. And the only way for me to do that was to actually get into university. So I worked hard for that, and I got in. It was like 12 people that year that could enter this course, this 4-year nutritional course. So I got my master in science in nutrition, as you said. So I'm a nutritionist, but I'm also very curious. I think that everything that can affect my health, I want to know about it, because I don't want to get MS, for example. I don't want to get any of these horrible things that can happen to us. And I realized that food is good. You can decrease the risk of getting sick, maybe 20-30% when it comes to cancer, maybe the same with MS, for example. But you can't eliminate the risk. You can't take it away. So I was very flabbergasted. That's a word you don't use too often, but this is actually the time I'm going to use it. When I saw that at the equator, MS didn't exist. People don't get the disease where there are as no sun as possible in the world, because the equator is like you get sun all the time. It's also very good for circadian rhythm, because the sun rises at 7 and goes down at 7, and it's very fast. It's not like this in Estonia and Sweden, where we come from. In summer times, the day never ends.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. It's not good for our health. So what we could see was that sunlight and good circadian rhythm, like at the equator, was good against MS. So I was starting to get really interested in light. I realized that light was more important than food for health. They're both important, but light is even more important. So that's what I started to call myself the sun guy. And I, as you say, I write books, and I do that primarily to learn more, because I find an area I want to research. I've been writing like over 20 books now, the first 1995, so it's a long time. But I wrote the book about the sun. It's called The Light Revolution. It's not really out there so much. It's in Swedish, Norwegian, it's in the Czech Republic, Slovenia, I think, in some countries. But it was too early. It was back in 2022. And now it happened a lot of things just in 2-3 years. People are much more aware about the light. There's much more research coming. So I decided I must redo this. I must write a new book, completely new, because the first book I wrote as a student. I was interviewing researchers, experts in light, people from NASA, all these really good people knowing a lot. But this book, I actually mailed it to my editor yesterday, the final version. It's called The Light Revolution, but it's brand new, and it's going to be released in the US first. And that's interesting as well, because as a Swede, I usually release them in Sweden first. But this time, the Swedes, they're too far behind. And a strange thing in the Nordic countries and the Baltic states as well, I must say, is that we don't really realize what kind of problems we have, because we need so much more light. Here in Spain, we can get it all year round. That's one of the reasons I live in Spain also, because I know I will not get MS here probably, as long as I use the sun and exercise healthy. And my kids probably won't get it. My wife probably won't get breast cancer. At least if she gets, it's going to be less aggressive, because the sun affects all these factors, not only autoimmunity, but also cancer, cardiovascular disease, and mortality. When it comes to accidents, suicide, all these things, they actually decrease when people get sun.
And what about, I mean, this is the first question I think that comes to everyone's minds, and because of the media as well. What do you tell people who are saying, but too much sunlight can be dangerous, and we can have skin cancer and melanomas, and we need to use sunscreen? And what about all of that?
I know some people would say, this guy is crazy. They would probably turn off the podcast. But you're willing to risk that.
Of course.
Because
we're chasing the truth.
Yeah, and the truth is the complete opposite. And it's pretty obvious, actually. If you just look at the malignant melanoma, let's start with that, because that's a bad cancer, because it affects younger people usually, and it's pretty lethal. It's a bad one. But it's only 2% of the people who gets cancer in Europe that dies from malignant melanoma. So 98% of the cancer deaths are usually other forms. And we know for sure, this is 100% proven in studies, big, large cohort studies, that if you get a lot of sun, especially in northern countries, you will decrease the risk of dying from cancer with 40%. 40.
That's
massive.
huge.
It's huge. It's actually it's as dangerous as smoking if you don't get sun. It's the same hazard, the health hazard. So if you look at cancer in general, it's just the completely opposite. And the interesting thing, it's also the opposite when it comes to malignant melanoma. Just look, you can Google, just look at malignant melanoma incidence Europe.
Mhm.
The countries who have the highest incidence is Norway and Sweden.
Yes.
Finland is also very high.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the least UV in the whole Europe. And also the Baltic states
Yeah.
is very high. But Spain and Greece have very low incidence. So that's the truth. We can just shake it out.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, I was just shaking this last night, even people who get burned have less risk of getting malignant melanoma. This is a big Swedish study from 2011 showing people who go overseas or abroad.
Because that's everyone's scared that if you're getting burned, you have higher risk of this. Probably it's just like a misconception, and people just, I don't, because I've never even probably seen it in a paper, but it's something that you've been told or heard, or this is like this kind of, I don't even know how you call it. But
It's very easy to believe because
Yeah.
if you get burned, it's painful.
yeah,
And you think your
feel
skin
like you're
is damaged. Yeah.
damaging.
And of course, it's not good to burn. I don't say
Mhm.
that. But that's not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is that we get too little sun. I have a doctor, a colleague, who actually made a calculation about this, a scientific calculation. For every person who dies from too much sun, there are 340 people dying from too little sun.
Yeah, that's a
It's,
massive.
it's massive, and that's
Yeah.
just this melanoma problem. Because there are studies showing that you have a little increase in malignant melanoma in Sweden, for example. But the thing is that you should always have a tan all year round. Then you have your natural protection. So that's the biggest problem when people in the northern countries just run out in their vacation. They have like 5 weeks and get really scorched at the beach. Of course, it's not a good way to do it. You should have sun every day. And if you can't have sun, I would actually suggest use a solarium, the tanning beds, maybe once a month, just to have a small amount of melanin in your skin.
Mhm. So let's say how much natural sunlight exposure should we aim for? Let's say we're living here in Marbella, and is there like the best time of the day, or should we avoid some time of the day?
This is very interesting because I've been living here for 7 months now. I'm getting to understand the seasons more and more. And in the wintertime, just get as much as you can. Just be outside because the sun doesn't have that much UV. And if it has UV, you can stay in the shade. So even in summertime, you can be outside a lot, but be in the shade. And the amazing thing is that if you are like, I have a spot in my yard, in my house, that has a canopy over it. There's like a cleared area where I can put the sunbed, but still be in the shade. And that's the most amazing place in my whole home, actually, because the UV is taken by the plants. The plants, they take the high energy, short wavelengths, like UV, violet light, blue light, for example. But it lets through the infrared light. It doesn't absorb it because the leaves are so thin. So it just goes straight through, but it hits my body. And the infrared light, you can, of course, you can get too much of everything, but you can't get it too much naturally. So I can be there even in summertime, even when it's literally like 12 or 1 o'clock in the day. But use the shade. That's really important. And use hats, use clothing. If you're on Tarifa, maybe, our favorite beach down here. I've been there a lot this summer. We never use sunscreen. None of us in my family, but we protect ourselves. And if you want to stay at the beach, just get one of those nice tents. You can just put up a little like Bedouin tent and enjoy in the shade.
So when you go to Tarifa with your family, like you said, you never put sunscreen even on the kids?
I use sometimes this, it's like a physical barrier. It's made from beef tallow and from zinc. And it must be non-nano zinc, the particles.
That
because
goes
otherwise
through the
it breaks.
bloodstream.
Exactly.
Into the bloodstream.
So that works. I put it in the face sometimes, maybe on the shoulders. It looks funny because it's white. So we usually call it like a ghost face when we have that. But it's good. So that's the only thing I use. Never chemical sunscreens. And my kids, they're pretty fair. I have one son, my 11-year-old, he's really blonde. But he doesn't get burned. And it's also about nutrition. because you can eat yourself to a good sun protection.
That's really interesting.
It is.
This is what we need to know. So what do we need to be eating to take the most advantage of the sun and protect ourselves?
The first thing, just look around you in nature. What is there that has to be protected against the sun? Fruits, vegetables, berries, because they have a lot of sun. They can't find the shade. So they produce a lot of antioxidants, especially the kinds we call carotenoids, like beta-carotene, lutein, zeaxanthin, all these kind of interesting carotenoids, because they have an ability to find a way to our cell membranes, because they love fat. And the cell membranes consist of fat. So they will actually protect the cell membranes in your skin, everywhere. So they will take the first line of defense when it comes to the sun. Because what the sun does, it creates free radicals that will affect your skin, your cells, everything. But if you have antioxidants, you can actually neutralize them. So you don't get this sunburn. So that's number one. So eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. And there's one special carotenoid. It's called lycopene. It's amazing. It's very, very easily digested from watermelon, for example. And why?
It's in season right now.
And why is it in season now? Because it's nature. It creates the antidote for sun in the watermelons. Also, tomatoes are rich in them. The problem is the tomatoes usually have them caught in the peel. Yeah, so it's better with watermelon actually. So I start every morning cutting up like half huge, it's very, very cold watermelon and just serve my family. That's like a basic. You must keep hydrated. It's very important to withstand the sun. And also don't eat all these ultra-processed foods. Because the ultra-processed foods will actually steal your antioxidants because they don't contain any. And they will give you a lot of horrible fats that are really easily oxidized, like the sunflower oil, these kind of things. If you eat little, no problem. But if that's what you're eating, it's really bad for you. So it's the natural monounsaturated fats and the saturated fats. So I would say olive oil, avocado, coconut, even animal fats, like from steak, beef, poultry, eggs, they are stable. So if you eat that, you will get much less redness from it. And the final thing, you must eat your fish also. Because the fish oils, they are naturally anti-inflammatory. And if you eat like 2-3 portions fish a week, and you should choose the fat ones, like the tuna, salmon, then you will have a natural sun protection factor of maybe 3 or 4, just from eating fish.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
Who knew that?
There are studies showing that.
Wow. But yeah, it's true. It actually makes sense what you say, that we're all connected in everything that we eat, consume, it's all connected. You can't think that I'm eating some crap food, but then, you have to really be mindful of what we eat, what we put on our skin and everything. So.
And may I just say one word about this sunscreen as well?
Yes.
Because we never use it because it's toxic. And the problem is, if you use it, you will oversun. You will be too long out in the sun. And the thing is that the only thing it actually does, the sunscreen, is absorb UV light. It doesn't absorb the blue light. It doesn't absorb the violet light. That also can hurt your skin. So I've seen lots of studies showing that using sunscreen and being out in the sun will increase the risk of malignant melanoma. There's a big Swedish study, it's called the MISS cohort, that shows it was like an 8 times bigger risk for these people. There was these ladies using sunscreen, just lying to get too much sun. And it's toxic. There's a lot of toxic substances in it. So I would say, don't use it. Use clothing instead.
But what do you think the media and everyone, they're pushing so much for it? Is it all business?
All business. All business. There's nothing else. And if you think of it, nobody actually says it protects against skin cancer. Nobody ever claimed that because it's not true. It doesn't do. So the only thing it does, it's absorb UV light. And that's a big problem also if you're in the northern countries. Because like many ladies, for example, in Sweden and Estonia and everywhere, they use makeup.
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, in December, for example, they have this little area, the face, that can actually absorb UV light. And even if it's very, very weak, it's there. It does something with you. But if you put makeup on, you block it. So it's like you're completely disconnected from the sun these months. So that's really, really bad. But even in summer times, you will take away all the good things with sunlight. And if I have like 3 bullet points when it comes to UV light, one thing is that it creates melanin. It makes you tan. And melanin is a fantastic molecule because it creates hydrogen. That is a natural antioxidant. You will also get vitamin D. That is good. It is good, but it's not as good as we thought. We see that you can't eat vitamin D as supplement and believe you get the same effects as from the sun. But it's good anyways. So it's a medical molecule in many ways. But then you have this amazing thing called POMC. It's POMC. It stands for pre-opiomelanocortin. It's like a gene. It's a gene you have inside yourself, in the skin, everywhere. And it creates a protein that has over 40 different biological effects. And it's amazing. Every animal in nature has it. It's like hundreds of millions years old gene. The alligators have it. That's why they lie in the sun, because they need this. One of the things it does, it creates endorphins. And endorphins, we know it makes us feel good. It makes us relaxed. And an interesting thing I noticed here in Spain, that I get so much more relaxation. And in all my life, I've been struggling with my nails. I bite them. I don't do it anymore. I don't have to. I don't feel.
You feel less stressed.
Much less stressed. Yeah, and I work as hard as usually. It's a lot of stress down here, but other kinds. But my basic biology is in balance. So I don't have this overwhelming stress reactions to everything. So I think that that is very important. And you take that away with sunscreens, because you block the effect of POMC and vitamin D, all these things. And the people who die from malignant melanoma, they have very low vitamin D levels. So either they use a lot of sunscreens or they are avoiding the sun.
On both.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about nutrition a little bit more, like you said, because you're also a nutritionist and you have this great connection now that you're seeing. So what else, what diet tips or what should we be eating, and what are you eating nowadays in your daily life? You said right now you're really checking what's in season, so you're eating the local vegetables and fruits. But what can people eat, let's say in the Nordic countries? Like, because I've also just been to Estonia and I noticed how expensive the fruits are, and avocados and all of that. It's quite kind of, let's say, expensive to eat all of these fresh fruits and things that we get here. What is your recommendation to these people who are living in the north?
Yes, the move to Spain. No. And I know everybody can't do it. But the interesting thing is this is also new science to me. I know it's been around since the 70s, but we know now that even vegetables and plants and berries, they emit light. It's called biophotons. And we can see that if you have a freshly produced that you take inside and measure the emission of light, it's very focused. You can see this is a healthy vegetable. But if you harvest this like before it's ripe, transport it to Sweden or Estonia, this will not happen. The product is like dead, to speak. And I didn't believe this before. I didn't know it was a thing, but it is a thing. So you should eat it as fresh as possible and organic if possible, because the organic food also has more biophotons. It shows that the fruit or berry is much healthier. And even people have biophotons. You can see that. If you have like a tumor, you will leak biophotons. You will have much more emission. And you actually have your fingers, they radiate biophotons. And this is no crack. This is true. It's science. You can read about it. I wrote a chapter about this in my book. But to get back to the reasoning there, in the northern countries, you still have something you can eat, like carrots. Usually you eat late in the season, potatoes, all these things that it's still edible. But then you can also, of course, have your own produce or buy fresh when it's in season, and do things with it. You can put it in the freezer. You can ferment it. You can.
I think that's what we used to do. Like, we got the berries, you made the jam or the syrup, and you kind of potatoes, like you said, all the root vegetables, and apples and pears and plums, and there is actually a lot of fresh. But like you said, I think people are just moving towards the processed food and the easy fixes rather than growing your own food. Because I remember both of my grandmas had their own patches of vegetables and fruits, and my mom still has it. But I think more and more people are moving into tower blocks and getting away from nature and food and just putting chemicals on top of our skin. And then we're asking why is the skin cancer on the rise?
Exactly. And you're so right. And we must not forget about the animal products as well.
Yeah.
Probably,
I was going to ask, what is your view on that? Do you eat meat?
of course I do. Humans are omnivores. We eat what there is. If there was some insects, we ate them. If they were not toxic, if there were some fruits, we ate them. But mostly we're drawn to animal products. That's why we started to hunt and also gather, of course. And I believe that you should not only eat in like carnivore food. You need the veggies as well, but you should not only eat the vegan food. You should eat both. That's the perfect mix of nutrition, of everything when it comes to people. And the animal products, if you eat like wild game, for example, elk, reindeer, these kind of things, that's the most nutrition-filled meat you can have. It's so good. It has pretty low fat, but it's better fat. It has all the minerals, vitamins, all the high-quality proteins. So I believe you should eat maybe a little bit more of that in wintertime in the northern countries, more animal-based, but still what you had. So I think, and I think it's very unfair to look at the prices sometimes in the store, because if I go down to the store here, the Mercadona or whatever, I can find something. Actually, here I always buy good food, so I don't really can find any sample of bad foods here, but there are, of course. But let's say that I'm in Sweden. And I want to buy some treats to my kids, some potato crisp, for example. And I have this roll of, let's say, Pringles. That is the most horrible product ever made, because it's not potato crisp. It's actually a chemical mess that tastes like potato crisp, but you can't even call it potato crisp because it's illegal. It's just chemicals. That will poison my kids. But if I put some potatoes with olive oils in the oven and bake them, even if they get a little brown, doesn't matter. That's healthy for them. So same ingredient, the potato, can be so completely different. And now in this case, I don't even believe the potatoes are more expensive. Probably the ultra-processed food is more expensive. But usually, if you, for example, would like to make a sauce, that's a good example. And you buy this kind of powder, you can mix with water. Maybe it's like euro, maybe €2. It's easy, convenient, but it's filled of bad stuff, like fast carbohydrates, additives, and these kind of things. But if you buy cream and some spices and some stock, for example, and make your own sauce, you will get a lot of nutrition. Vitamin A, you have a lot of good fats in cream, for example. So you can't compare them. It's not fair. You must look, how much does this nutrition cost? That's why it's very cheap with avocado, for example, because it's so high in nutrition. And sometimes even organic foods, they cost a little bit more by the pound or the kilo, but they contain more nutrition. So they are cheaper if you really look at the price versus the nutrition. So that's really important. And nowadays, I've been seeing horrible figures, numbers, when it comes to ultra-processed foods. I think Great Britain is the worst in Europe. They eat like 50% of the food they consume in that country is ultra-processed. I mean, of course, people get sick. In Spain, I think it's 20. I think it's about 30, 40 in Sweden and in Estonia. So it's too high. So that's actually rule number one. Only eat things you understand. Only buy things without ingredient list. Not only, but you can start that way. So I usually fill my shopping trolley with vegetables, fruits, berries. That's the basic. And then it comes the eggs, the meat, the chicken, the fish, all these things. Then, of course, I can buy something more fun, a little bit like that. But this is important. And don't buy the ready-made stuff. It's so easy to make food. You don't even have to do it fancy. And one little recipe I must share here, because the family loves it.
Yes.
And it's so easy. It's crazy easy, actually. Just buy a chicken fillet. Preferably with skin, because it's more tasty. Just put it in like an oven-safe container. just put some ginger, some garlic, some sea salt, olive oil, and just put it in the oven. It creates its own juice. So it's going to be like in a very, very nice broth. And if you serve that with rice, for example, it's delicious. Everybody eats it. The kids just love it. And it takes me no time at all.
Yeah.
And it's cheaper than buying something from the freezer, and it's much more healthy.
And what about like new things like air fryers? What is your view on those?
I must say I tried air fryers, but I didn't really. I wasn't really satisfied with it. It looks better in the pictures than it did when I made it. So I don't want to say it's bad, but I'd rather use other methods. And I'm not afraid of fats either. I use a lot of fat, but it's good fats. So I can fry with a low temperature in olive oil, for example. I love to make eggs to my children. I can use butter that's also pretty heat resistant. But I would never use like sunflower oil or these kind of things because it gets oxidized from the heat. But if you use the right fats, and if I for example make potatoes in the oven, I usually have coconut oil, which is very, very heat resistant.
And
So
ghee?
ghee is also very good, but the problem is that when I bought it, it didn't taste good. It tastes a little bit off. So I think it was a bit old, and I tried it a couple of times. I did not like the taste. Then I think coconuts is much better. And coconut is 90% saturated fats. So that's almost impossible to destroy. So it's very good. And it's healthy fats. 70% of those are what we call short chain and medium chain triglycerids. They won't make you fat. They're very easy to use as energy in our cells. And it's not bad for your heart.
So talking about, like you said, not make you fat, because also people are thinking, how can they lose weight? What are your, let's say, fat loss tips or losing weight tips? Because you've written also books about, sugar-free life and how to boost your metabolism, because we all want to feel better and look better. And of course, we have to choose the right foods, but we still have to make sure probably that we don't overeat.
Yeah.
No, we should watch the portions. Or what are your main tips?
It's super easy. If you do as I just told you to do, just buy the whole foods from the beginning. Because there's no room left for the rest. You must buy this stuff that you put in your trolley. And it's very interesting because now we start to see the side effects of Ozempic. You probably heard about it.
Yes.
People get really...
And I hear it around here, how people also are abusing it,
Yeah,
They don't want to change their lifestyle. They don't want to change their habits, but they're just injecting it. It's like a fast way of...
so crazy. And they lose muscle. Sometimes they get really sick.
Bones,
Bones,
bone density, I think, and all these.
It's so bad for you. But you can get the same good effects from nutrition and from lifestyle as you get from Ozempic. You get your sunlight. We know that sunlight will actually make you lose fat. There's a lot of science behind this. And then you eat your whole foods, because the whole foods will do the same thing. Will also have this effects on your satiety hormones, but you will still build your muscle, you build your bones, you will be healthy. So get rid of Ozempic. It's just toxic stuff. I think it's a scam, to be honest. And because it's so easy to eat this food, but you must have this top of mind. You must have this mindset of buying the whole foods. But if you don't want to do that, it's up to you.
I think this is the problem with most of people. That's why they also go to a doctor and get pills, because they just want the fast fix and cook your own food and make your own food. It's a lot of time that people are saying, I don't have time for this. I have the Uber Eats and I order in and I buy the ready-made whatever fast food. I think the pace of life has just gone too fast. And like I said, that's not the way to live. This is where, in a way, we have to go back to the basics.
Exactly. And this is quite interesting. This is a bit of an anecdote I must put in here. I live up in the Monte Mayor. And people who are down here know it's up in the mountain. And Uber Eats don't come there. And I love it. They can't come here to deliver this sugary, fatty, bad food, because they're usually bad fats. They have to make profit from making this food. It's very hard to order healthy Uber Eats. You can, of course, but it's very hard. So when my kids have the app and they try to get something really, really bad nutritionally, I just say, fine, I'm going to make you food instead. So I think you're completely right. People are a bit lazy, but they underestimate the need to cook. And when you start to do it, and it start to taste good, and you start to feel good, it's pretty fun, actually. So I enjoy this. Usually I make a lot of dinner at home, and I enjoy it. I make very simple foods. Like last night, I just had some minced meat, fried with some onion, some fresh herbs, some stock, and again, of course, garlic and these kind of things. And then I put concentrated tomato, this puree, and it's amazing. It's so good, and it takes me almost no time. It costs almost nothing, and it's whole food, and it's very, very. It feels very good to serve this to my family. And today I cooked a lot, so they have lunch today also, the same food.
Yeah, that's what I do. When I cook, I might as well cook a lot. So, you don't just cook and eat and that's it. You can either freeze it or have it the next day, or, you don't have to cook every day 3 times a day.
Exactly. And most foods like that, when you make stew, they can be like 4 days in the fridge. If you have a cold fridge, there's no problem.
Yeah, this is my goal now, to cook a little bit more in advance, let's say. So then when I also am in a rush and I don't have to start thinking, I have to cook something, but I have cooked quinoa in my fridge, and I have some cooked sweet potatoes, so I can just grab a few bits and maybe add some protein. And yeah, I'm trying to also cook a lot more at home, because I know that this is the way to go.
And that's also one interesting thing. You mentioned protein, and it comes from Greek, proteos, the most important, number one. And it is the most important, because if you don't eat anything else, as long as you eat protein, you can actually work, you can exercise, you can do things. But if you don't eat the protein, your nervous system will feel that something is wrong. You will start looking for something to eat. You will start to nibble from the minibar or whatever. So always eat protein for breakfast. You don't have to eat breakfast when you wake up. You can wait a couple of hours or so, no problem. But always start your food intake with something that contains protein. It doesn't have to be much, but it can be some yogurt or an egg or something. But that's really important. And studies shown that if you eat an egg for breakfast, you will eat less calories every meal. Talking about Ozempic, eggs are the natural Ozempics. Even the day after, you can see that people eat less for breakfast if they had 2 eggs the morning before.
Yeah.
So that's so amazing.
Yeah, sometimes maybe people starve themselves and then they overeat because of that.
Yes.
I've seen it as well.
And we have like a very, very fine measurement in our bodies, how many calories we have and how many calories we need. And also the body measures all the nutrients, the micronutrients. The body knows how much iron you have. It knows how much calcium you have. And if you eat a lot of ultra-processed foods, you will not get all these micronutrients. So your body will start to demanding more and more food. So you will overeat. So that's also a reason to eat these really high density nutritional foods like eggs and all these things. And this is a bit sad. I can't eat organ food. I have something against the aversion.
Not a fun either. I've heard how beneficial it
Yeah,
is.
liver, these kind of things. But if you can eat it, it is really good. I actually buy it sometimes. This
Let's go say they have some powdered capsule or something. I could do that.
Yeah,
but I'm not a fan. My mom, for example, loves it and also said it's very beneficial. But some things you have to listen to your body as well if you can't.
I agree.
Can't.
And there is a risk with the organ foods. There's a lot of vitamin A, and you can overdo it. So maybe you have good vitamin A.
Maybe I don't need it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because I remember when I was pregnant, I really started craving for artichokes. And then I realized they have a lot of folic acid.
Yes.
And this is what we usually take as a vitamin anyway. But then I really, really started to crave for it. So now, I'm really checking that, whatever I'm craving for, more, this is what I'm going to buy. Because, for example, watermelon, I'm crazy about watermelon also right now. I also eat it every day. And it also probably has the vitamins and
the lycopene for the sun.
Probably.
Yeah, and when you eat natural foods with vitamins, it's a natural form. Because if you take a pill of folic acid, it's not the same chemical. It's a different one. It will bind the receptor, but doesn't have the same effects. So it's much better to eat artichokes than the pills.
Yeah, well, we just go back to the basics.
Yes.
But talking a little bit more about the light, what advice do you give to people then who are in the Nordic countries and who can't, let's say, afford to have holidays? How can they get more sunlight if it is raining every day and it's cloudy? Could red light therapy be something that they could do?
Yes.
I know you're.
Yes, I work with red light therapy. And red light therapy for me is like the unicorn of health. Because when you hear about it, you think it can't be true. It can't exist, this kind of thing. But it does exist. And what red light therapy does, it provides two types of light that's in abundance in the sun. It's red light and it's infrared light. And when you look at the sun, it's changing all the time. It's changing from it rises to it sets. And in the morning time, it's a lot of those wavelengths, a lot of red, a lot of infrared light. That's why the sky usually is red. And also in the evening. So the UV is filtered away by the atmosphere. So using red light therapy is like simulating morning sun and evening sun. And of course, that is really, really good, especially in a dark country. You can finally tell your body it's morning. You have to wake up. So even if it's dark outside, 7 o'clock, you can wake up with this light. And the interesting thing is the eyes is one way into your body when it comes to light, but the skin also. So this penetrates deep inside your skin. You can actually use your iPhone and turn on the flashlight. And if you put your finger on the flashlight, you can see what color actually goes through, because the white light from the flashlight, that's all colors. But the red goes through your thumb. So that's the same thing in your body. This goes deep inside your body, maybe 3-4 centimeters. But the most amazing thing is the infrared light. You can't see it. And why we can't see it? Probably because it would look horrible, because it goes through your body. So if you're standing in the sun, you can actually see, if you have an infrared camera, that those rays can penetrate your body and go through to the other side. That's pretty scary. But the thing is that it's very, very healthy, because your cells react to this. They start to produce ATP, they start to produce nitrogen oxide, so the blood pressure goes down, the risk of dying from heart disease goes down, it will trim your immune system. It will do all these things that the sun does. But you can have it in a lamp. That's why it's so interesting. And my new venture, and this is something, this is new. This is the first time I talk about this. But I'm going to include also UV light in my new products, because I founded this new company now, because I realized I have so many ideas I want to fulfill. So I call it Eterna Club. And there's a lot of technologies when it comes to longevity. And red light is one, but I'm going to include UV light as well. I'm going to make it as similar to the sun as possible. And many people will say then, oh, but Malina panorama. And it's the complete opposite. And the best thing, if you want to defend yourself against the skin cancer, is to have a little tan all year round. There's a big Swedish study showing that if you have a little tan all year round, you have a much lower risk of getting Malina panorama.
So basically, move to Spain or get a red light lamp.
Yeah, and preferably with UV also.
UV.
Just a little, not much.
And how much would you need to use it? Like, do you just, is it okay if, I know they have these face ones, or do you need to have like a bigger one that you get on your body? Or I'm very confused sometimes about it, because I see people like having the mask, then they have like the big one. I'm like, how much am I supposed to do and get, and what, it is a little bit confusing, because there is a lot of promotion now around the red light as well. So what do you think is the optimal, or what do you recommend?
And this is very interesting, because there's the whole range of effects. You can get the effect of the most minuscule amount of light, like one photon. You can't even see it. One photon can actually start your cells, help your cells to start produce ATP. And it's like a quantum health effect. It's like you're turning on a switch. You tell the cells they are light, start to produce ATP. So that means that even small amounts on your wrist, for example, can give effects in your whole body. But then when you want to have the best effects from red light, you should use the kind of bed, because then you get all your cells will get some light. They don't have to compete to get light in some way. But it's very hard because they're expensive. They're not everywhere. So if you want a panel for home use, I would say buy like a half body panel.
Okay.
That's maybe 60 centimeters tall or something like that.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and they're pretty convenient. You can use them on your front, on your back. But the interesting thing is that even if you only use at the front, you will have effects in your whole body, because this will probably, and it will benefit your microbiome. That we know it talks to your whole body, your brain, everywhere. And we also have seen that, the fascia,
Yes.
That's like the internet of your body. It will also react to the light, and it will give effects in your whole body if you get light just on one spot. So you talk about what you call a systemic effect. That means that you get little light on one part, but you will have effects in your whole body. And then you have these local effects. And that's very good if you have pain, for example. If you have pain in your elbows or wherever, just use it there. So you have both effects.
Maybe it's a silly question, but what is ATP?
ATP is not silly
I don't know
question
that
at all.
Maybe my
Yeah.
neither.
Your body produces at least your body weight of ATP every day. And it happens in the mitochondria. And the food you eat must become ATP in order to be used as energy. That's the only energy source we have. There's like the currency of energy in your body.
Yes.
So the alcohol, the fats, the sugars, carbohydrates, proteins, organic acids, all these things converts into ATP in your body. And this is a truly amazing process. It's like a small factory. We actually have turbines producing this in massive amounts of ATP all the time. And those turbines, they slow down when we get older. That's why light is so important for old people. You can start to see the production, it's boosted. And now I'm 55 years old in my passport, but I'm 29 years old when it comes to biological age because I use the light. And this is so interesting. This is because the ATP production. And all cells need ATP. All cells, the ones who build your bone, the ones who make you think, the ones who make you live.
Yeah.
And that means that if you get light, you get more ATP in your cells, and all cells will benefit. They will get better what to do. That's why people who get red light therapy can go home 30% earlier from hospital. That's why it's incredible. That's why people get it on very, very hard, very, very bad like wounds, that people get from diabetes, from lying down too much. Sometimes they don't even heal. But if you use red light therapy, the cells who produce new skin, they get more energy, can do their work better, and the sore is closed.
That is crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the light will actually affect how the cells feel, and the cells get more energy, and you will work, you will function better. And kids usually have a very high level of ATP normally, but only if they eat the good food, the right foods. Because if you eat all this crap we're talking about, that will affect your mitochondria because it's like toxins. So that's also a reason why you should eat very, very whole foods, organic foods, clean foods. It will enhance your ATP production.
Incredible. And like you said, your kids, they're trying to also get some naughty food sometimes. What do you tell them? And I also tell my kids, of course, that we need to eat the rainbow. And they're like, yeah, but candy is colorful. Isn't that the part of the rainbow? I'm like, no, not that kind of rainbow. So I show them, oranges and better hennas that are purple aubergines and all, that this is the rainbow. But of course, and I tell them that Coca-Cola is not good for you and you're going to feel bad. But obviously, they will realize later on, maybe if they drink Coca-Cola, well, I'm fine. No, I'm fine. So I don't feel like as I was younger as well, I didn't feel or see the harmful effects of maybe not eating right or drinking right. So how do you teach your kids to I mean, obviously you're an example to them, but like you said, they still sometimes maybe think, it's all right, a little bit of Coca-Cola here, maybe there.
And there are some calculations that if you drink one Coke with sugar, this normal one, regular one, it will take 15 minutes of your life.
Wow.
So if you do it every day, I mean, it's going to mean something in the end. But at the same time, if you drink like 1 week, you will get all these horrible things like phosphoric acid, like this burnt sugar. The caramel coloring is burnt sugar. You will get this synthetic caffeine that's really bad for you. But it's just once a week. And your body responds to this, defends itself against this. It's like in nature, almost all plants are toxic. That's why we shouldn't eat too much of one thing. We should eat a little of each. Then the body can handle it.
I believe also in this, you said 90, but I'm like 80-20 rule. I mean, I don't obviously drink green tea all day. I do maybe have Coca-Cola once in a month or something if I really want it. But I think it's true that, to be too restrictive, you go a little bit crazy as well.
I agree. And my guilty pleasure is to have a really cold gin tonic here on Saturday evening. I love that. And of course, it's not good for me, but it's hormetic. And I think my body will handle it.
Yeah. Like you said, too much stress is not good, but a little bit of stress is good.
Yes.
And let's talk a little bit about Marbella as well, since you are now a Marbella resident. How did you even come to Marbella? Why did you come to Marbella?
I've known for a long time that I want to live with my family in a sunny country. And I was a lot in the US, in California. I've been a lot in Florida as well. So I stayed there like 3 months in wintertime, as long as my ESTA could allow. But it was too far. It was like 9 hours time difference. It was very hard to keep the business in Sweden. And then the children grow up, got older, and we realized we need to find another place. We need to find something in the same time zone as Sweden. There's not like 12 hours flight. And if I start to look at it, we have some blue zones in Europe. These zones where people live very long. And they are around the 40th degree latitude. And Marbella is also there. That means that if I go here, I get the same amount of sun, I can get the same quality of foods, I can get the same salty swims in the water, and we also have the best microclimate in Europe. We have the mountains. So it's always good here. It's not too hot, not too warm.
No, it's perfect.
So it's totally amazing. And so we were here last year a lot. We rented different houses and checked out different areas. And we put our kids in school here. We actually, we are here now. We're residents here now. So we did a complete move. And I never regretted it. It's been eye-opening for me as well. Because in Sweden, it's very easy to focus on Sweden. Maybe with Norway, Finland, Baltic states, these kind of things. I do things there, keep seminars. Here, I'm in an international context. So it's much easier for me to think bigger. So now when I'm launching my new brand, it's going to be for Europe, not for Sweden or Norway or Baltic states. They are also, of course, very interesting markets. But when it comes to business, now I'm going to sell to the whole Europe because it's so much bigger and people are very interested in these areas now. So I believe that it helped me a lot, both personally, health-wise, business-wise, and it's very fun.
Definitely. And what are your like favorite places and restaurants? And I know you haven't been there too long, but surely you have, let's say, a few favorites, and the rest I will link in my blog. Yes, I always get so many good tips, even from the, let's say, newcomers. They come and they tell me, "Oh, have you tried that restaurant? I've been to that place or that beach," because there's so much going around here that it's hard to keep track.
And if I start with the beach, Tarifa is number one.
Yeah.
But it's far. So it's like...
Well, what is far? I think 1 hour 15 drive, or at least from my house. In a way, to be honest, with the traffic in the summer here, I just sometimes think, do I want to be in the traffic here? And the beaches are so full here, and sand is hot. And, I think the summer in Marbella can be crazy. When I drive over there, the sand is beautiful. The beach is like, it's not so cool. It's windy. It's a lot, like 5 degrees cooler. I am amazed. And also the restaurants are even cheaper there. So,
and very good.
Yeah.
The tuna tartare.
Amazing.
And I agree. But we can't do it just go for 1 hour or so. Yeah. So Tarifa and weekends, usually. We've been there maybe 5 times this summer. And then I think it's too crowded in Marbella Est. We try to go there, but you can't even find a parking spot. It's too stressful and hectic. So I like the beaches down in Cancelada, actually. I like the beach, the Dominion Beach. It's on the way to Estepona. I like Estepona as well. I think they're all good.
It's so upcoming and beautiful and clean and new one.
So we usually are on the west side of Marbella when it comes to beaches.
And restaurants?
Restaurants. We try to eat good when we eat. So we actually went to Nobu, to Lenya, down here, Patamano. They're both amazing, of course. And also at Forum, they have a place, what is it called now? With this amazing interior.
Florentine?
Yeah.
Italian.
That was also amazing. But they're high-end, they're quite expensive. So we usually go to like this local restaurant in Cancelada. I don't even know its name now, but it's the closest one to us. I can go there maybe 10 minutes by car. And it's amazing. They have a little yard. It's outdoors, very friendly, very good Spanish food. Much less expensive, but I also cook a lot here. I like that, and I think it's nice. I barbecue some as well, so we don't eat too much out actually. But when we do, we usually choose the good ones. And of course, Tarifa.
Yeah, Tarifa has amazing food, amazing restaurants, amazing vibe. It's just different energy in Tarifa. Really like that. Really, really cool. And any final words? I don't know if you have any recommendations to people. How can people follow you? And any recommendation to people thinking of maybe coming to live in Marbella? Anything
Yeah.
you can tell?
I have become some kind of contact person for Swedes that want to come to Marbella. So I get a lot of DMs, but I like that. And of course, other nationalities as well. Just go to Instagram. It's Fredrik Paulun. It's quite easy to find, aka the Sun Guy.
Yes.
And they can just send me a message. I answer everything. And also if they want like help with maybe installing a recovery room, with this kind of technology, I can do all these kind of things. So you can see me as a resource when it comes to health, and also of course the tips down here. But I'm of course I'm best when it comes to the Swedish schools and these kind of things. But of course everybody is welcome to contact me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for coming to Marbella and sharing your knowledge and your love for the light. And yeah, just people listen to Fredrik's recommendations, get some sunlight, get some good food, and you should be fine.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Until next time.
This episode is brought to you by Sandon, a family-run furniture company with a brand new flagship store in Forum Marbella.